Okay, hello. My name is John Morales, and I'm a PT. And I'm going to talk to the parents of high school students about plantar fasciitis, and this is an injury that can, you know, cause them amount of pain now that they're young, but it can also affect them in the long haul. And I'm going to go over some things about that and ways to treat it, ways to prevent it, signs and symptoms, things like that. Um, so right here, some background on it. Um, 10% of the population is affected by this. I myself in high school was actually affected by it. I was on a track field running, and I felt the bottom part of my foot stretch, just like in this picture here. You can see like the little band under the foot. I felt that pull. Um, as you can see in the photo, the little red spot shows, that's where the pain can be in the heel. And I remember when I was even younger than that, when I was in elementary school, I remember complaining about heel pain and me not knowing these were the symptoms of potential, potentially getting plantar fasciitis in the future. And I was unaware. And I would like for it to not affect, your children. If your child has flat foot, high arches, like for me, I have high arches, so that's why it affected me. Um, it can also affect people, who are always walking or standing on hard surfaces. Your kids are going to be walking on a lot of concrete. Uh, you're going to be in a lot of classroom. They're going to be in a lot of classrooms that are hard surfaces. So they're in that category there. It can also be maybe if your child has tightness in their Achilles, if they talk about that, like in the below the calf, if they feel that there's tightness or maybe some type of pain there, that could be also part of that. Um, Maybe even if the your child is a bit overweight, that can also be a contributing factor. The child has a lot of weight, and that weight goes down to the lower extremities, so that can also affect that as well, because our feet, we're standing on top, we're standing all day, and we're putting all that pressure on top of our feet. So yeah, that can be a contributing factor there. um, Activity like running, jumping, dancing, um, and that's every sport. Every sport you're going to be running, every sport pretty much you're going to be jumping. Yeah, we're going to move on to the etiology. So it's going to be this is going to be focused on uh, how this happens, how what you do, where you end up triggering it, where you end up getting it. So it's the little band under the foot, and you're stretching it. Pretty much, you're putting a lot of tension, a lot of stress on it, and it can come from, excuse me, it can come from footwear. Footwear that may be too flexible. If you're running on shoes that are real stiff and then you switch to flexible footwear, that's an issue. If you switch from flexible to real stiff, that's an issue. It's just that sudden change that can make things tough on the foot. Um, Another one could be if you're flat-footed, you're putting too much uh, weight and pressure on that side. Um, and opposite, if you have a high arch, it could be you're going on the other side a little too much. So that can happen there as well. We're going to move on to signs and symptoms. Um, Symptoms, like I spoke about earlier, for me it was pain in the heel, and then eventually got to a point where I can feel the band stretching, pulling, hurting, and I already know that's not the norm. Um, Pain in the arch, that's pretty much what you're gonna feel. Um, you can all they may also feel, which I have felt myself, is when you get up in the morning, those first few steps, it's just this pain that's just like, ah, But as you start taking a couple steps, you're going to maybe go to the kitchen, go to the bathroom, the pain goes away. But by the end of the day, once you've been standing all day, moving around, what have you, by the end of the day, you're going to feel that pain come back, and it's going to be pretty painful. So those are some of the things that you need to look out for, as a parents, and we're going to move on. So if your child feels this injury, you got to identify where the pain is at. Has to identify where the pain is at, because that's how we know the right locations, and that way we can identify, okay, it's the heel, it's the bottom of the foot. That's, it sounds like plantar fasciitis. You got to make sure your child is off the field, because they're going to be in pain. They probably don't want to go back out there. If they do, they can make things worse. They can aggravate it, and it can get to a point where not necessarily that they'll snap that fascia that day, but if they keep pushing, yeah, you can get to a point where you will snap it. And we're going to move on to the next one here. So to prevent it, I would say the best thing to do would be icing the feet. That would be the best thing. Rest would be the best thing. Strengthening that calf muscle, strengthening those muscles are going to be key, and making sure that you can minimize this type of injury. And so the last thing would be if there's bracing or taping. Bracing, yes, there is. There's compression sleeves. Would be taping. I've used kinesio tape. I found it to be very effective. It gives it that support that it needs, and your child will not feel pain. At least for me, I did not feel pain when I put that tape on.